Okay, today I'm working on this cloud scene, and I'm going to establish the darkest darks. This is going to give me the most certain value that I can measure all my other values off of. And the trees in this scene, which you can barely see, but they were in there when I was out there painting, they're the darkest value that I could find in this landscape. So while they're not a full strength dark, they are close. So I'm going to get those in there, and then I can use those values to gauge the values of the clouds from. And here I'm blocking in just an approximate color. This color is probably a little bit too dark, but it gives me something to start with. I had to move really fast because when I was out there doing this painting, the clouds were constantly moving. It was very windy. In fact, at one point my easel blew over on me. So what I end up with is not exactly what you're going to see in the photo, just because as fast as things were moving, it was impossible to capture that scene in a snapshot fashion. Okay, moving on to some of the more distant clouds. These clouds are a little further back, so they're a little bit cooler. So we use some cooler colors to describe those cloud shapes. Once again, working very fast with the brush. And once I get these established, it's going to be easier to make adjustments to these colors and values as I progress with this painting. By the way, give this painting a like if you happen to, or give this video a like, I should say. And also leave your comments or questions below. Tell me what you think. Have you been out painting clouds in plein air? Has it been a struggle for you? What are some of the biggest struggles that you have when you're plein air painting? I'd love to hear from you and know, what your experiences have been, especially with painting clouds. And if you have any tips on painting fast-moving clouds, please feel free to share them. Okay, just continuing to work further back. We're getting a little bit cooler. And when you get down toward the horizon line, it can sometimes be challenging to tell the difference between what might be a cloud shadow and what might be just open sky back there. And at that point, you just don't worry about it. You just paint, the color shapes that you see. And as long as you get those color relationships and value relationships, it's not going to really matter, was that a cloud or was that a sky? Just get the shapes in there. And that's all I'm trying to do here. Okay, here I had to move my easel at a different angle because the wind was just getting too strong and it was really blowing things around. So I had to shift angles here. And I'm going to be putting in some of the whites of the clouds. Now, you don't want to use pure white. You do want to add some color to this white. At this point, the white is going to be a little hard to make sense of just because I'm putting that next to the pure white of the canvas. And really, in hindsight, I should have had that section of the canvas covered. But you don't necessarily have to, but it definitely can help. This is actually my first plein air painting of 2022. Because of COVID and bad weather and other illnesses, I had not been able to get out and paint until this time. So here we're getting in some of this other color. This is open sky that I'm painting in here, but it's not a pure cerulean blue that you might expect on blue skies. It does have a different tinge. We were a lot closer to the sun, and the sun was lower in the sky. And an interesting phenomena that happens with skies is that as the sky moves closer to the sun, it actually gets a little bit less blue because the glare of the sun, it basically diminishes the intense blue color that you normally see in skies. If you look at the sky completely opposite of the sun, that tends to be where it's the most blue. But as you rotate around toward the position of the sun, you're going to have less blue. So going in here with these warmer, lighter colors, as things recede further back, as lights recede further back, I should say, they do tend to get a little darker and a little warmer. It's actually a reverse of shadows and things like that and other colors that recede. Other colors that recede tend to get cooler and lighter, but whites and very, very high key or light colors tend to get a little darker and a little warmer as they recede. And at this point, the scene is so much different from what the photograph was. I remember that from when I was out there. It just had, you know, not completely changed, but it had changed quite a bit at this point. And so at this point, you basically just borrow from what's still there and then try to make the best of it. You can't copy it like you would from a photograph, and that's one of the challenges of painting in plein air. Is nature's always on the move. The light's always shifting, and it forces you to work fast and to work in a more raw manner. So going in with these, the big dark main clouds and blocking them in, the initial wash was more transparent and it was a bit rough. So I'm going in here with some thicker, more opaque paint and just smoothing that out. And one thing about these clouds is it can be tempting to paint them too dark. And you got to remember that skies are pretty high key. Even dark clouds in them, they're usually not nearly as dark as things on the ground, as trees and things like that. So you want to make sure that you paint that accordingly. There are always exceptions to that, but generally that rule does stand. And just going in and making some further refinements to the more distant clouds. Adding some of the highlight areas where the sun will be hitting that cloud. And working wet on wet is pretty challenging with that. Getting that white paint, or almost white paint, to go on there and to maintain its purity without but yet be able to blend it into the darker blue colors. Going in with the palette knife. The palette knife is a great tool for being able to add highlights and things like that. You can see at this stage I have that big main cloud pretty much finished, and you can see I reversed the angle from what it is in the photo, because at that point it had changed to that degree, and I kind of like that better in a way than what's in the photo. And putting in some of the green foreground, which is really important to finish this painting off. And if you'd like to watch this and all my future plein air painted videos in their entirety without ad interruptions, click on the link below to become a Patreon member. And for only $5 a month, you're going to get exclusive access to this and my upcoming plein air videos, along with on-site commentary. This is dubbed in later, but you get to hear what I was saying on location as I painted this. You're also going to see close-ups of my painting and my palette. So click on the link below and enjoy uninterrupted, raw, on-location painting today.